This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
You just made the list!
The doctor will see you now.
I'm better than you, and you know it!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Around the Ring, episode 269. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley, and joining, as always, is my other co-host, Steve Long. Steve, how's it going?
It's going good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. After this, I'm going to do some geology homework. So,
yippee. So I watched some Power Struggle today. Didn't get a chance to watch it yesterday. Too much stuff going on. So, so we're going to talk about that later on tonight.
Yeah. We'll touch bases with our usual Dynamite recaps.
Yeah.
We've got our top 5 this week, which we're doing top 5 entrance themes on suggestion of Dave Brown.
Yep. Thanks for the suggestion, Dave. Always good to get suggestions from you.
Mm-hmm. And we'll do a little news up top.
Yeah, we got a few pieces of news here. First, we got an announcement from Mr. Tony Khan, by permission of said talent, that Jon Moxley has entered inpatient rehab for substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big thing in news, big thing on Twitter. Really liking the outpouring of support that he has been getting over the week in regards to his mental health and seeking help to get that. I thought that was pretty great, and we're actually going to talk about it a little bit more when we get into Dynamite as well, because somebody cut a really good promo and gave him a shout out. So that was really awesome.
Yeah, it's a big piece. You never want the wrestlers that you love to be going through something like this, and it's a tough thing. It is probably really hard. Probably the hardest part was just admitting it and going and getting that help. So I think that's a really great sign. I feel like we haven't seen warning signs as an audience. I mean, we don't know his personal life. There could be stuff there, but this isn't like a Scott Hall situation back in WCW. This isn't like the Road Warrior situation. Like, things have changed quite a bit in the wrestling landscape, and it's amazing to see a company just fully embracing this and being like, "This is what's happening. If you need help yourself, reach out. We support our employee, but our friend basically." And it's good. It's strange because you can't help but wonder how this would have been handled in other situations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like
may have lost his job.
That's always a possibility. There's always well, we just won't tell anybody why he's not around. We'll write him off TV with an injury or something like that.
Yeah.
And they fully embraced it, news-wise as well as on the program. So that's a really good, strong thing that this company is doing.
It's really good they're not trying to hide it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And he's got a wife and child at home. Hopefully, I'm curious if having a kid kind of put things in perspective for him, and that's why he decided now is the time.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. For sure.
It's interesting because like the timing's odd. Like he was in the middle of this world title eliminator tournament, and his book just came out. Like,
yep.
The same week. So
yeah, I think he was doing about to start a kind of a book signing tour too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't picked this one up yet, well, actually, never mind. We're not doing video. You can't see that. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I listened to him on Talk is Jericho this week too. It's where he was talking about the book, and it really made me want to read it. So I'm might have to hunt down a copy myself.
Yeah, I just got it off Amazon. But,
yeah,
good stuff.
We wish him a speedy. It's the kind of thing that you can't really be like, I wish you a speedy recovery. Recovery is a process, so it's not quite the same thing. But
absolutely,
he'll be struggling with it the rest of his life, I'm sure. But as long as he has a good support system, I could see it working.
Yeah, and it really does sound like he does, especially. I mean, at least from his employer's standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So good. Wish him well. The other big news that happened this week came out of a promotion we don't really talk about too much, but it's in regards to WWE and their latest line of mass releases. Crazy.
Yeah, they just keep doing this. I hate seeing these. Like, I really do hate these. I don't watch the product. I don't watch WWE's product. But you never want anyone to lose their job, especially around the holidays.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about that on Messenger a few days ago when we first heard about it, and it's just like, I don't. A lot of these names I don't know. Some of them I did.
Mm-hmm.
But to do this sort of thing right before the holidays, knowing full well that most of these wrestlers, if not all, are going to be under 30 to 90 day non-compete clauses, so they can't go out and find work, this close to the holidays. So they're, it's just kind of disappointing that the company would do a thing like this. And based on what I had read, they had said that it had to do with budget cuts, trying to make budget cuts, which doesn't really make any sense when they're currently reporting record profits.
The same day they released, it was 18 wrestlers total or something along those lines?
Yeah, something like that.
The same day they did that, they had just done their Q3, earnings, conference, and reported that they were doing great. Like, they were on track to do better than ever.
Right.
And just that logical disconnect between, we're doing so well, and then letting all these people go who, let's face it, like, I don't think these were the top earners in the company. I don't think these people were breaking the bank for the WWE.
Right. But some of those names just really didn't make sense. I think the biggest one that was announced that really made no sense to me, not super familiar with his work, but I have seen him. And everything that I'd read on news feeds and being on Twitter, talking to the wrestling community there, hearing this name mentioned so many times, but I'm referring to Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems really odd that they released him, because it sounded to me like they had big plans for him.
I think Vince McMahon doesn't know what to do with Keith Lee. He doesn't know what to do with most of them.
Who does he know what to do with?
Roman, that's the only guy he knows how to do anything with.
Right.
and
I'm assuming that's correct, because when I was watching, I was not a fan of that character. And so I don't know what he's doing with them now. Probably, again, understand, folks listen out there, I do not watch this product, so I do not know what's going on. I could be completely wrong in this theory that I have, So again, it's just a theory. I think he's pushing him. I imagine that he's pushing him the same way he would push a character like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, especially, you know, they've paired him with Paul Heyman in storyline. You know, they did a match with Brock and Paul and Roman. So like he's one of these handful of wrestlers that he like protects and actually pushes in a way that is working now,
and
because it wasn't working before.
Yeah, and it just makes no sense to me, either one of them, because again, completely my opinion. So take it for what it's worth, but either one of these guys, I don't see a whole lot of real wrestling talent in them.
I'm not a Brock Lesnar fan.
I never have been.
Same. Like when he first appeared, I wasn't a fan of him. You know, when he had that monster run as the undisputed champion, I was not a fan of that. Yeah. His comeback runs, like there's something about him that I've never really clicked with.
And the promotion treats him like he's this huge thing. Like I'm remembering a couple of months ago when CM Punk first came to AEW, and you know they made this. Obviously, there was a big deal in the wrestling community surrounding that, and then WWE put out something. It may have been a tweet, I don't remember, or a news release or something like, "Oh, bring back CM Punk. Well, we'll one up you. We're bringing back Brock Lesnar." And I'm like, who cares? How is that even close to the excitement level? How could you even compare that?
Yeah.
So not a fan. There's people out that like him, and that's great. There's people out there that love Roman Reigns. That's great. I don't care. Neither one of them do anything for it with me. He's not one of those wrestlers that, like, you know, when I watched them that I hated or liked. I don't want anything to do with him. I don't care about him. He did nothing for me. And honestly, it's that kind of talent pushing. One of the reasons why I just stopped watching wrestling altogether, because that's what we were getting. And it just wasn't interesting anymore. But yeah, so people like Keith Lee, who are some of the other
let's see, I've got a list here that they're of names they released. So Keith Lee and Karrion Kross were probably two of the bigger names.
Right.
Nia Jax, weirdly, we can talk about Nia in a minute though. I have things to say about her. But let's just run down. I want to run down the rest of the list too, just so like everyone knows who we're talking about. I'm sure everyone's seen the news, but for those who haven't, Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, Mia Yim, Eva Marie, Harry Smith, and B-Fab, as well as Frankie Monet, Ember Moon, Scarlett, Oni Lorcan, Trey Baxter, Jesse Kaimea, Zeta Ramier, Katrina Cortez, and Jeet Rama. So
the names that I recognize right off the bat, of course, and I recognized them before. Ember Moon, obviously. Frankie, and honestly, I did not see any of her WWE run.
Me either.
I remember her mostly from Impact as Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah.
And I was actually very surprised to see her leave Impact, but knowing that she's married to Morrison, that makes sense why she went to WWE. But so they let her go. So those are the names that pop out to me, other than Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. The names that pop out to me as those that I know.
So with Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, you know, they were recently brought up to the main roster. Keith Lee a little bit earlier, but both times when those guys debuted, they were given completely new looks. Keith Lee was not wearing his like kind of like regular tights that he was wearing. He was given these like weird long flowy sort of shorts. I think they changed his music too. You know, Karrion Kross had that laughable helmet and like leather skirt that he was given. I don't know what it is about why Vince McMahon does not. Vince McMahon loves big guys, and those two guys are big guys. So why didn't he get them and immediately be like, "Oh yeah, give me more of these guys"?
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
The main one of my most familiar experiences with Keith Lee is, and I, having not, being super familiar with the recent product, but I do remember, I want to say it was Royal Rumble, when he came out, and the only other person in the ring was Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that entrance, and I remember the look on Lesnar's face.
Yeah.
Like, he almost had like this holy crap look.
He made this funny, like, ooh, big boy, like, kind of motion too.
Yeah. But I remember that from about Keith Lee, and I remember, man, if you, even in storyline, if you are scaring or getting that kind of reaction out of one of their main stars, you must be a big deal. But yeah, so it's just weird to see him go. And then Ember Moon, that was kind of a shock. She was one of my favorites from her NXT days. I didn't really see much of her main roster run.
I feel like she didn't have a long run on the main roster before she got hurt. And then
that may have been it. Yeah.
She was out for a little bit, and then she came back, but then she disappeared from TV again. And then I think reappeared at NXT. So she was getting kind of like reheated back down there.
Gotcha.
So she's one of the ones that when I saw the list of releases, I was like, well, somebody better scoop her up real soon because she's one of the most talented people they just released.
So I saw something on my news feed that said Tony Khan had made a, I don't know if it was a press release or just made a comment on social media or something, that there were some of those that were released that he's interested in.
Yeah, I just read that too. It was apparently an interview with Wade Keller on the Pro Wrestling Torch.
Okay.
And Keller actually asked him, like, are you interested in these people? And before he answered that, he said, every time they do one of these releases, there's always 1, 2, or 3 people that I definitely want. So I imagine Keith Lee is probably high up on that list.
That'd be good to see, I think.
I hope Ember Moon is high on that list.
I hope she is too.
I could see Mia Yim being high on that list too. She's married to Keith Lee as well as being a phenomenal wrestler in her own right.
I've heard you talk about her. Yeah,
she's really good. I saw her first in the Mae Young Classic that they did, and she was a pretty big role in NXT for a while there, and then she got stuck with Retribution, I think. The less said about that, the better. Yes. And that's looking at that list. There are quite a few people. Like, I imagine Karrion Kross and Scarlett may wind up going back to Impact. That's where they came from.
What about Frankie?
I could see her going there too, but I could also see her trying out AEW because she's not been there. She's been in Impact quite a bit.
Yeah, she can get longest running knockouts champion in history.
She's an amazing wrestler as well. Like, she's so good. I remember a match she did in AAA. I think it was Fabi Apache. And it was kind of like this. It's basically a hardcore match, basically. No DQ match. And it was one of the most like brutal women's matches I've ever seen. And seeing it in a Lucha Libre company too was very unique.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, that match is incredible. Like, I keep calling her Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie. Like, that's who she was for the longest point in her career.
Yeah.
I can see her going back because, Impact's doing some exciting things with their women's division. So there's good things happening there. But also at the same time, AEW has a good women's division right now that's only getting better, and she would only help improve it.
Right.
So, like, I was looking at a few of the names. Other people that I'm like, I wasn't really familiar with Trey Baxter, Jesse Kamea, Zeta Ramier, Katrina Cortez, G Rama. Like, they're all NXT people that I just wasn't familiar with. Disappointed to see Oni Lorcan was released. He used to wrestle in the independent scene as Biff Busick. And he's a really good, fun, like, hard-hitting, kind of technical, strong style wrestler who's really good. I'd love to see him in AEW facing off against, like, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia, Punk. You know, there's so many people that he would have great match. Bobby Fish, you know, great matches with.
Well, and maybe some of these folks could go to New Japan.
That's true too. So one of the names that was released was Harry Smith, and I had to do a double check and realize that it was Davey Boy Smith Jr., who the son of the British Bulldog. I did not realize he had re-signed with the WWE. He apparently was supposed to go to NXT UK, where he would have been a great fit. I would love to see him and Walter. That would have been a great match. But COVID restrictions limited their ability to travel to the UK. So he was basically given like a SmackDown Dark match. And then they literally never used him on TV. He signed with the company, never appeared on television, and then they released him. So he could go back to Japan. He has spent time in Japan. He was part of Suzuki Gun. He was tag team partners with Lance Archer, so there's always the chance he could show up in AEW, reform the Killer Elite Squad. That's what they were called. He could be one of those names that, you know, is interesting. But, you know, him in Japan would be really good. They need kind of some talent right now, too, from outside the country.
Yeah.
Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado had apparently requested their releases earlier this year. I'm shocked they lasted as long as they did in that company. There was a lot of promise with Grand Metalik in, you know, he was in the finals for the Cruiserweight Classic and wound up losing to TJP. And TJP got released way long ago. Apparently, Bryan Danielson has said in the past that he really wants to wrestle Grand Metalik. So maybe that will happen in an AEW ring.
Yeah.
Phenomenal wrestlers. I think he wrestled under the name Mascara Dorada in Mexico and in New Japan. Yeah, there's a couple of names on here like BFAB I wasn't really familiar with. I know she was part of that hit row that was getting a lot of positive attention. Apparently with her, she had just re-signed a new contract last week. And then they turned right around and dropped her.
Wow, that's really odd.
Yeah, that was very strange. Decision on their part. And then there's two names that I'm not necessarily excited to see wrestle anywhere with Eva Marie and Nia Jax.
Yeah, same.
So there's a weird story going around about Nia Jax too, where they were saying that some of the wrestlers were released because they were unvaccinated. They're saying Nia Jax is most likely one of them, as well as up to maybe 5 more. It's no use in like speculating. You know, it's not right to necessarily speculate, so I'm not going to try to. But Nia was specifically named. She released a statement too this week saying, "My vaccination status was never brought up, and I was never given a choice to get it or not." Which I think she's confirming she's not vaccinated.
Yeah.
But she said she was written off TV because she needed a mental health break, which I could see. You know, anyone, if you need a mental health break, you need a mental health break.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon is also the type of person to consider that a weakness and would probably want nothing to do with her. Her work rate is not highly praised. So the match with Charlotte Flair, where they supposedly got into a real argument in the middle of it, was like a recent thing that happened.
Oh, really? Wow.
So I don't know. I could see a multitude of reasons being why she was released. The vaccination thing might have just been like one of a dozen reasons why they were going to get rid of her.
I'm really surprised that she was. Well, okay. My first thought was to say I'm really surprised that she was in it as long as she was, but knowing her family history, that makes a little bit more sense. But she was not the greatest worker.
Yeah. And early on, like when I was watching her in NXT, I was like, well, she's still kind of new to the business. Any little mistake she does here, it's fine. You make mistakes in the wrestling ring. It happens.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just never really improved over time.
Right. So there's actually there's a wrestler in AEW that reminds me. It doesn't remind me of Nia Jax. She just reminds me of that. She's green and just not that great a worker, although she's getting a push. But I see more potential in her, referring to Jade.
Yeah.
She's just got this like style that's kind of wonky, and it just looks like, just like I said, she's just very green. She just doesn't look like she's got enough, almost like she's not gotten a lot of enough practice in.
Yeah.
Like they signed somebody that wasn't really ring ready.
Yeah.
And they're pushing her, which I find odd, but I can see her getting better.
Yeah, I actually see the potential. Well, I saw the potential originally with Nia, but after a point, it just stopped being like.
Yeah, after a point, it was just like, why is she still around?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know if she'll continue wrestling. She strikes me as one of the ones that would probably quit.
I don't think she'll come. I don't think she'll keep wrestling.
I mean, if she does, she might show up in that WoW company. That
maybe.
Who knows?
The other one you mentioned, Eva Marie.
Yeah.
I've got no opinion. I don't care one way or the other.
I've literally never watched her wrestle. All I've heard is that she's not good. I've never seen a match.
I think I saw her. I must have seen her in a match at some point, because I pulled up a picture of her and I'm like, yeah, she looks really familiar. Wasn't she on the Total Divas show?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I know, my wife and my oldest daughter used to watch that show, and I seem to remember her being on it. I remember seeing her and thinking, oh, she's in WWE. And then, I was still watching WWE at the time. And then I think I may have saw her in a match or two, but again, just forgettable. I can take her or leave her. I don't care.
She was in NXT for a period. She had that gimmick for a minute where they had this like voiceover announce her coming to the ring, and then she wouldn't come out, and they would say she like changed her mind. It was a really weird like comedy angle they were giving her.
Okay.
But I don't know what the deal with that was. Apparently she was off shooting a movie.
Oh.
So they're probably just like, well, we don't care. That's why they let her go. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't care if she goes anywhere. I just, take her or leave her. I don't really care.
Yeah. I mean, it's just disappointing to see people lose their jobs, especially when the company is making so much money. Like I saw the comparison of people like, well, Ring of Honor just like let go of like 80 people. And I was like, well, Ring of Honor is in a very different state as a company than the WWE is currently.
Yeah.
Like the WWE is making record profits. Ring of Honor is a struggling organization that paid everyone through the pandemic is still going to pay everyone throughout the rest of the year, regardless of if they, stay with the company.
Mhm.
And I was listening to the WrestleNomics podcast, which is like a podcast dedicated to like stats and numbers and like the money aspect of professional wrestling.
Mhm.
And according to that podcast, Sinclair Broadcasting is not doing well currently. They're struggling under some stuff. So,
well, and like we mentioned last week, Ring of Honor doesn't even have a TV deal.
right.
Like
It's
a
just
major,
yeah, it's a syndication deal. Yeah.
It's just so obviously WWE is doing better than Ring of Honor. So as a company, so to compare the two, I mean, there is no comparison. It's just they're both wrestling companies. Well, okay, you can kind of call WWE a wrestling company.
Yeah.
They have wrestling matches in between their ridiculous vignettes and storylines that don't make any sense. But
that complaint of Ring of Honor let go of a bunch of people. It's like, yeah, and that was sad too. I'm sad that those wrestlers lost their jobs too in their contracts. It's one thing, like I understand it is a business. If they're not working out with the company has the right to let them go. Okay, that's fine. When their contract runs out, why are you releasing people like this? I'm sure not all these people had super long contracts.
And then making them own up to their non-compete clauses.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to fire somebody, see, this is the way I'm looking at it. Okay. If a company fires you, should you not be allowed to look for work the next day?
Yeah.
If you are fired.
I think the idea is that they're allowed to, but they can't like sign any deals, basically.
See, still, I mean, that's like saying, oh, I found a job, but I can't start for 90 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
yeah. Yeah. I don't understand that. I mean, it's a weird thing that they've done. My understanding is they can break those. Like they can choose to break those deals. It means they don't get paid for that time period because I think they'll still get paid throughout the 30 or 90 days.
Yeah.
I was reading, I think it was a Sean Ross Sapp post on Twitter where he said, if I was one of these wrestlers, I would immediately look into finding out what it means to break one of those deals, what you can do to get out of it and do it as soon as possible and appear somewhere because the market's already pretty flooded currently with Ring of Honor. And now the last batch of wrestlers who still haven't, their 90 days aren't even completely up, or they just ran out like last week. So
yeah.
I mean, some people have already taken shows. Like Oni Lorcan has apparently signed up to wrestle in Germany for WXW. So he's going to be part of some tournament that they're doing. So, that's good for him to go ahead and get his name out there. I wouldn't be surprised if Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado went to Mexico or something like that and wrestled there. So
yeah. Cool.
It might happen, but frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, we've probably talked this thing to death. It's just, it's unfortunate, and it's really ridiculous considering they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
They can afford these people. They want to make their own bottom line just a little bit bigger. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, all right. So that's all we got for news. I think we're going to jump into AEW for the week. Before that, I do want to mention it out there that we are part of the Red 5 podcast network. So Red 5 network, as I mentioned last week, is kind of a pop culture, Star Wars, nerdy, geeky podcast network that we are now a part of. And you can check out other podcasts in the network at red5network.com. And I'll probably put a link to them in the show notes. But that's all I have about that. Beginning again, I hate to admit it, but once again this week I did not watch any Dark or Elevation. I really need to get back into the habit, and it's just been weird with work getting a lot busier. I just haven't had a chance to do that. But I did watch Dynamite, of course. So let's just start there.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about match by match, or are there any specific matches that you want to talk about?
As far as matches go, I have maybe 4 I feel like that are worth talking about, as well as like a couple promos. So
okay, yeah, I was gonna say I have one match that I can talk about, and then 2 or 3 promos.
Yeah,
worth of mentioning. So go ahead and start us off.
We'll start with the very first thing that happened on Dynamite. It was Kenny Omega versus Alan Angels of the Dark Order.
That was a head scratcher.
So I was like, why are they doing this match? And they reminded us the announcers reminded us during this match that Alan Angels fought Kenny Omega, and that's how Alan Angels got a job with AEW. It was during the early stages of the pandemic where they were doing those giant block of like Atlanta tapings, I think, and where it was just the wrestlers around the ring. And then there was just a really fun, enjoyable match between Kenny Omega and Alan Angels. This guy we'd never heard of before, who Kenny gave a lot of offense to. Like, he let him like really show his stuff. And so this was kind of the comeback match, and it was really good too. Like, I think Alan Angels might be secretly one of the best wrestlers in the Dark Order as far as like just work rate. His character is just, I don't know, it's just kind of a guy. Yeah. Unfortunately. But I thought the match was really good. Just a nice little, like, it's just nice to see AEW being like, and we did this match, 8 months ago or 9 months ago or however many months ago it was, So it was nice to see just a little bit of a reference there too. Yeah. I'm curious too if this match was kind of thrown in there as, I don't know, they may have been kind of thrown for a loop with the Moxley news of the day before, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that match was followed up by the CM Punk promo.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Really great promo. He starts off talking about, he tells them to stop chanting his name, essentially, and tells them that they should be chanting Jon Moxley's name, and just cuts this really great shout out to Jon and the fact that he is seeking help, like we mentioned earlier. And it was just a really heartfelt promo. And another reason why promo-wise he is one of the best, if not the best in the business on cutting promos. And then he kind of segues into talking about Eddie Kingston. Just talks about how, he didn't come to work. And, but it was a really, really good promo. Very, very CM Punk-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really nice promo. I really appreciated him connecting Moxley, carrying the company, which he did. Moxley carried the AEW through the beginning of the pandemic until they were able to kind of like figure out how to maneuver in our new current whatever world we are currently living in.
Right.
He won the title. What was it? They said it was like 1 week before. Yeah, there was one Dynamite before the lockdown that he got to appear in front of the crowd as the champion. And then the rest of the time was the empty arena stuff with the wrestlers around the ring. And he put on some great matches during that time period.
Yeah.
So Punk compared that to his time in the WWE whenever he was kind of like the guy and kind of was carrying things. And then it just got too much and overwhelming. And he said that's when he walked away then. Moxley, I don't think, is walking away from wrestling, thankfully. But, he has to take the time for himself.
I don't see that happening. I think he'll be back.
Yeah. So yeah, it was very, very nice, touching promo.
Yeah. Another promo that came up, I think it was either right after this one, or there may have been something else in between them. But I'm referring to the Inner Circle revealing their opponents for Full Gear. And it really didn't surprise me a whole lot that they put Dan Lambert in there.
Yeah.
I thought there was some really fun back and forth, though, between Chris and forgive me, I don't remember the Paige.
Yeah, that's her name. Yeah.
I thought there was some fun back and forth between her and her husband and Chris. So that was just kind of a fun spot, them revealing their opponents.
Yeah, I may be one of the few people who are still holding out on this being like I'm just tired of the America Top Team stuff. Like,
Sure,
it's my least favorite part of Dynamite every week.
No, I understand that. I wish they'd use it for what it really needs to be used for, and that's to push Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page.
Yeah, and they seem more interested in just putting UFC fighters in a match.
Yeah, it seems like they're pushing Top Team more than they are Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, and it just seems like something got lost along the way.
Yeah.
Because if that was their intention all along, that may very well be one of the few mistakes that this company makes.
Yeah. We did pass one match I did want to talk about.
Okay.
And that was the FTR versus Aerostar and Samurai del Sol match.
How could I forget an FTR match? God, bad Steve. Bad Steve.
Really fun match. I think it was an open challenge that FTR issued online, and it was for the AAA Tag Team Championship. Aerostar, he was a AAA luchador. He's beloved in Mexico. He may have been involved in Lucha Underground. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
He was tag team partners with Drago, who was a Lucha Underground wrestler. Yeah. And Samurai del Sol is the former WWE superstar Kalisto. And so this is his first match back since he was released. Like, he wrestled nowhere else. So I was just very happy to see him again. I always liked his matches in the WWE.
Yeah, same here.
I really do enjoy Aerostar's matches a lot. So it was interesting because I think a lot of Lucha Libre is called in the ring, and it's all very fluid.
Yeah.
And I don't think FTR's used to wrestling like that smooth lucha style.
No, I don't think they are.
And Aerostar is not used to wrestling people who are also not in that style of wrestling. So there were some like odd little, like, with him, he just kind of seemed like lost in parts of the match. It was strange. The things he landed looked great. He has a move. It's off the top rope where he kind of basically goes, I think they call it a reverse headbutt or reverse flying headbutt, where he basically straightens like a board, jumps backwards, kind of like Darby Allin's coffin drop, but more like forward propulsive, and like it looks terrifying every time I've ever seen him do it. It always makes me go, was that an accident? Did he fall off the turnbuckle? No, that's just one of his moves. It's a very scary looking move, but I assume he's never really had any issues with it because he's been doing it for a really long time. But I don't know. I'm always happy to see some luchadors like that.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, it was not a typical FTR match.
No.
So it just kind of, it seemed like, it just seemed odd. And when they actually do wrestle the Lucha Brothers, I'm just wondering how much more, it's going to be that much more odd as well. But considering these are two teams that are, some of the best tag teams in the world, I'm sure they're gonna give us a good show. But yeah, that was a decent match. I cannot believe I forgot an FTR match. Jackie from Elite POV is going to tear me a new one when she finds out that I forgot them.
They have new music too, which I guess is kind of fitting in with their like kind of 80s throwback look. They're just becoming an 80s tag team at this stage.
Yeah,
which is great.
Good stuff.
I do love the new shirts they have.
Oh yeah, I like those. Yeah,
I thought about getting one myself, but.
Did you want to talk about the TBS Women's Tournament match in this one?
Not especially.
Yeah, it was kind of forgetful. I didn't get much out of it.
Yeah.
But following that was what started out to be another great MJF promo, and basically turned into a beatdown.
It was a really good beatdown too.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh yeah. Darby Allin came out of nowhere and just put the hurt down on MJF.
Yeah. It was the spot they were doing around the crowd. I got really nervous because it was the one where Darby goes all the way to the back and then like parts the crowd and runs full speed. Like, that was, I'm like, why that weirdly was one of the scarier things on the show, because I was just like, you don't know these people. You can't trust these people.
I know, really.
Step out in front of you and get hit. Yeah. And there was that guy in the wheelchair, like special needs guy, who was like right there by the railing. And I was just like, please don't hit that guy.
Yeah. Oh, man. So great spot there. And that actually was followed by the one match really that I wanted to talk about. Yeah. Just because it was such a good match. And that, of course, is Cody Rhodes versus Andrade El Idolo.
Yeah.
And I've said it on the show time and time again. I wasn't a fan of him, Andrade, but he's just really starting to grow on me in AEW, and this match just even more so. He was just so amazing. There were so many spots where I was just like, oh, just kind of, whoa, damn, ow. And, man, these guys put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, I guess Cody, he's like, well, if people are going to boo me, maybe I'll get them on my side if I just have really, really good matches.
If that's what he's trying to do, he definitely did it with this one, because that was an amazing match. And Andrade had some amazing spots. They were just, man, it was just great. And that throwback to the to his future father-in-law's, the figure four. And was it he was in the figure four and didn't Cody reverse it?
Yeah, Cody reversed it.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
The match too, they did another. Cody did that I forget what they call it. The Dusty Rhodes.
Oh,
wiggle, flop and fly thing, whatever they call it.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what they called it, but just kind of this throwback to wrestlers of old. But
it was a nice one because it was like a specific reference to Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes fighting for the NWA Championship, and I think they said it was even in that same city that Dusty.
It was. That's right. I remember them saying
Ric
that.
Flair. Yeah, I love that kind of thing in wrestling, like referring to your history and referencing people from the past. I just love that.
Yeah, man, this match was so good, and just seeing more of Andrade's talent flourish. Some of the things he does is just like he's gonna go far, I think. In this company. He's gonna go far. I don't know what his next angle is going to be. You know what his next feud will be, but this one could probably go for a while.
It doesn't feel over.
Yeah, especially with Pac. I don't think that is over at all. Based on some of the comments that he made.
Did you catch during the Malachi Black promo at the top of the show, he was referencing Julius Caesar and Brutus and like there being someone betraying. So I got the impression that someone was going to betray Cody. Like that was the idea. I also heard someone else say that it's a reference to I don't remember the name of the conspirer in Julius Caesar in the
Brutus.
play, the one who like Brutus that did the stabbing. Brutus did it for. I can't remember the name of the other guy.
Yeah, I don't.
He mentioned him in the promo. Shakespeare is not my strong suit. My wife would be very angry with me right now. Yeah. But so I saw that it was a reference more to that guy had help. I took it as a betrayal thing. And when Arn got in the ring and did that face-to-face with Tully.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, here we go. We got an Arn and Tully like face-off. But then part of me too was like, is Arn going to betray Cody?
I don't know.
If I were to make a wild assumption, and that promo is more implying to the Brutus side, maybe Arn's going to turn on Cody. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
I throw it out there.
Going to be an interesting story nonetheless. So closing out the show was the another match in the world title eliminator tournament.
Yep.
Orange Cassidy versus Miro. Did you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, we just talk about it a little bit. Just Miro was announced as the replacement from Moxley. This is the first match Miro's had back since he lost the TNT Championship to Sammy Guevara. They said he in storyline he earned that spot due to his record in AEW, so that they give you a logical in-story reason for why he was chosen. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that I guess we were to assume that Moxley was going to win originally.
Yeah.
And that makes sense with Orange Cassidy. Like Orange Cassidy is one of those wrestlers that the audience will love forever, but he doesn't have to win.
He doesn't really need to be in the title picture to be
right.
And I've got to be honest. Okay, I did watch this match.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything about it.
Probably because they did a picture-in-picture.
Oh, could have been. It was very forgettable.
They cut most of the match because most of it was in the picture-in-picture.
So then I didn't get to see most of the match then anyway.
I hate that they do that for the main events.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, when they did that, we'll get to that on Rampage. We will get to that.
So I didn't actually watch Rampage. So
wow. Wow.
We can talk about that.
We will. There's a few things I want to say about it. Yeah.
Okay. It's just, yes, it makes sense. Miro goes on to the next round. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Miro versus Danielson. I think that'll be a really good match. But I still want to see Orange Cassidy versus Danielson at some point too.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see.
But yeah.
So moving on to Friday night Rampage. This will mostly be pretty short and sweet. The first match of the night was Bryan Danielson versus Anthony Bowens of the Acclaim. All I'm going to say is he does not belong in the same ring as Danielson. That's all I've got to say. Nothing else. I don't get the Acclaim. They do nothing for me. So that's it. Anthony Bowens, obviously lost. Seemed like he put up a good fight, but really he didn't belong in the same ring. The next spot was CM Punk calling out Eddie Kingston. Eddie does finally come out to the ring, and they've got some good back and forth going on. And Eddie wants to fight him at Full Gear, and CM Punk makes this comment that Full Gear is above you. You know, you're
Mhm.
just a bum. He calls him a bum. And then
Yeah.
they just go back and forth. And so finally, Eddie Kingston gets Punk by saying, nobody in the locker room wants you here. Why don't you leave for another 7 years? And that's when CM Punk just goes nuts. They get into a fight. It takes security and a bunch of other people to keep them apart. But of course, they keep breaking and they just keep fighting each other. And it just gets ugly. And then it becomes official that they're going to fight at Full Gear. And this is going to be a very interesting match at Full Gear.
I'm very high on Eddie Kingston. I love what he does.
Oh, yeah.
This is a promo that I read about, and I was like, I'm going to watch that. I will be watching this promo because I think it's going to be one of the
Might as
highlights.
well. It was really good.
Yeah.
That was followed up by the TBS, another edition of the TBS Women's Tournament. It was the Bunny versus Red Velvet. I like Red Velvet. Don't really care about the Bunny. She's got a slightly amusing character where she comes up to the camera and bites it.
Yeah.
But as a wrestler, she's just not all that interesting. I think the most interesting thing about this match is kind of the back and forth that we got between Red Velvet and Jade Cargill, who is sitting ringside. But the match wasn't really all that interesting. Red Velvet got the win. I was not very surprised. I was not surprised that she got the win. I was a little bit surprised that there wasn't any shenanigans going on with Penelope Ford. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Red Velvet, and it wasn't really that long a match either. But the next match was the main event of Rampage. I think this would tie the Cody Rhodes Andrade match for AEW's match of the week. And this was Adam Cole versus John Silver.
Okay. Yeah. That's one I actually wanted to watch too.
That was an amazing match. I learned a lot of things watching John Silver in this match that he's one of those guys that, yeah, he's amusing. He's funny. Yeah. I like him. But as a wrestler, I just never took him seriously, I guess would be the word.
Yeah.
But he's actually pretty dang good. He did some really amazing stuff. And the two of them together in a ring was like, I mean, my first thought when they announced this was like, I don't really think John Silver belongs in a match with Adam Cole. That's just like two separate, like one's up, just kind of. But man, this was a great match. It was so good. John Silver just did some things that, like, you're short, you're big, and I cannot believe he did some of those things. And then Adam Cole, did his stuff, and for most of the match, a lot of this was coming off of when. Wait a minute, did we forget to talk about a match? Was it on Dynamite when Adam Cole took the chair?
Yeah, it wasn't a match. It was the Super Click was doing a promo, and then Jungle Boy and Christian and Luchasaurus all jumped him, and Christian gave Adam Cole a concerto.
Yeah. So a lot of the, like, even before the match, Adam Cole was mentioning in the pre-show promo. Or the pre-match promo that Mark Henry does with about how he was still feeling a little off because of the chair shot, and he really sold that during the match. I mean, he looked like he was not all there during a lot of the match. Like every time John Silver would get a move, like a huge move over on him, he was really selling it. Like there's something wrong. There's something wrong going on in my head, man.
You know, the concerto is one of those moves that I'm like, how do you do that safe?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You know, that reminds me of a move that you see a lot of in wrestling. I mean, you've seen it for years and years and decades. I don't like watching people do it because it just seems like, man, that's a bad idea. And I'm referring to the headbutt, like just a simple headbutt.
oh yeah,
It just seems like, man, that can't be good.
yeah.
That cannot be. Like, isn't that basically what caused? Oh geez, I lost the name. The guy that's head of the New Japan.
Oh yeah, Shibata.
Shibata, yeah, Shibata. Isn't that basically what put him out of wrestling?
Yeah, he
It's like
did
a bad headbutt.
very stiff headbutt to Okada.
It's just a move that I don't like watching because it like makes me cringe. It's like, man, just don't do that.
Ishii does them all the time too. His aren't as hard.
Yeah.
But even then I'm like, stop it. Please stop it.
It just doesn't, it doesn't feel. But yeah, so Adam Cole really sold that injury, but the match, it was just amazing. It was fun to watch. Any Adam Cole match is fun to watch, but just really got a surprise, at least to me, performance out of John Silver. I was just like, wow, that was good.
Do they explain the budge thing?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I was going to get to that. So a lot of it was callback to rumors of WWE and Adam Cole's final days. John Silver had made, and I think it was on an episode of BTE. He had made some references to, hey, Adam, why don't you become my manager?
Okay.
But if you want to be my manager, you have to cut your hair.
Yeah.
And you have to change your name to Budge. And I did not watch BTE this week, so I didn't catch the references, but
yeah.
It definitely seems like something John Silver would do. But what was funny is when Adam Cole was coming out, actually when both of them were coming out to the ring, you saw people holding up signs that said Budge on them. and then right before the match started, you know how Adam Cole does his Adam Cole baby thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, John Silver came in and did a similar thing, and everybody yelled Budge. And it was pretty funny. It was an amusing match, but it was a very entertaining match, just wrestling wise too. It was really good, I thought.
Well, that's good. So, I'll try and look that one up too.
Yeah.
I want, Rampage comes on Fridays, and I wanted to get to Power Struggle. I usually watch it on Saturday, but I wanted to watch Power Struggle before we started recording, so that took a little priority.
That's understandable. That did take priority. I actually got to watch Rampage live for the first time in probably months.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I watched it live. But Power Struggle. I wanted to watch that one yesterday. Didn't get a chance to. Just a bunch of stuff came up and got in the way. But I did catch. I did catch it today. I will admit that a lot of the matches I watched at double speed. But yeah, let's go on. Let's move on to Power Struggle.
So, did you watch? This is for New Japan. For those not sure what we're talking about, Power Struggle, New Japan event in Osaka. Did you watch any of the tag team matches?
At double speed, yes.
Oh, okay. I actually just skipped the tag matches just because it was a 4-hour show and I wasn't going to have enough time to watch everything. So
yeah,
I picked up with the first singles match, which is Toru Yano versus Great Okan.
That was the first one I slowed it down for us as well. Yeah. And I watched that one at normal speed.
Yeah.
Which was actually one of 3 matches I watched in normal speed. Everything else I watched either in double speed or 1.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched this
Um,
one in regular speed.
Anything worth mentioning about the tags?
Nothing about the tags. No.
I know the never 3-man tag title changed hands.
Yeah, we
Now
got
it's
House of Torture won that one.
Yeah.
Now, okay. The only thing that I will mention about that was the at the end of the match, the entrance of oh my gosh, I can't
the return
remember
of
his name.
Yo.
The return of Yo, right?
Yeah.
Yo and Show being very surprised.
Yeah.
And watching the later on this afternoon, I watched some of the backstage commentary or promos and stuff, and the entire House of Torture was just like, I thought that guy retired, and Yo or Show really went off on that, and he was just like, I'm gonna make you retire, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I'm looking forward to seeing Yo and Show. I hope they're in the same block in the Best of the Super Juniors.
Super Juniors, yeah,
because I think that'll be really good.
Which begins when?
It's very soon. I don't know the exact
soon,
date. I think they're doing the Battle in the Valley show first, and then right after that, it's the Best of the Super Juniors / World Tag League tour. So those will be alternating, I think. Yeah. They'll either be alternating shows or it'll be like half Best of Super Juniors, half World Tag League. I'm not 100% sure what they're doing this year. They haven't announced the teams. They haven't announced who's in the Best of Super Juniors this year. It's very last minute.
Yeah, it is very. So yeah, not much out of the tag, but this match was weird.
Yeah, Yano and Great Okan. So this match was Great Okan. So this is for the KOPW. Yeah.
KOPW
championship, which is that trophy that Yano carries around with him everywhere. And they're all gimmick matches, and they're all voted on by the audience. Okan wanted a Kiss My Feet match, and then Yano wanted an traditional amateur rules match.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Yano has a history of amateur wrestling. Like that's what he learned. He started that when he was younger and before he started becoming a professional wrestler. So it makes sense for him to be doing this kind of thing. It was also the most serious I think I've ever seen Toru Yano in a match.
That was another thing that made it weird for me. It was just like, I mean, the match, the type of match was weird anyway. Mm-hmm. Even with the referee explaining the point system, I was still like, I don't get it. But him being serious, was really odd. I was just like, I don't get that.
I watched the backstage interviews as well, and I watched his, and he was serious Yano there too. Yeah. And he addressed the audience saying, if you were interested in what you saw in this amateur wrestling match, go watch, go look into amateur wrestling more. Maybe consider it yourself. I think he's talking more to like a younger audience. Like, this is how I became a pro wrestler. I started with amateur wrestling. So it was a neat little like look into like the mind of the real guy, not just the comedy character. Match itself was interesting. I don't necessarily want them to do more of these, but it was neat.
I could do without these type of matches.
Yeah.
It's just but I did watch it because I like Toru Yano, and it definitely was not a typical. But then he got beat down at the end of it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure this isn't over, and there probably will be a Kiss My Foot match in the future. So
yeah, probably.
Next match was Robbie Eagles versus El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Is this one you watched in fast motion?
Yeah, I watched this one at double speed. Not really a huge fan of either one of these guys. Don't hate them.
Right.
Just don't really care either way.
So Robbie Eagles, I had the chance of seeing him live in Charlotte a few weeks ago. It was just really cool seeing the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship in real life. So that was very neat. I'm thankful for that.
that would be cool.
But at the same time, Robbie Eagles is one of the most talented wrestlers that I don't have any feelings for whatsoever. Like, he's good, but I'm never super entertained with his matches.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think they're bad. I'm just not interested. And I mean, to be really honest, I was going through this really fast because there was a match. I was just like, hurry up. I want to see this match. And we'll talk about it for sure.
Yeah.
But
I just wanted to mention El Desperado won the title. I think this is his second second run with that title. He is a wrestler who he's kind of been a mainstay of New Japan over the pandemic, and he's also progressed a lot over the last year. Like, his matches have gotten better over time. I think he's shifted from he still does a lot of tag matches, but I think he's shifted into doing a lot more singles work. And I think he's really upped his game. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the Best of the Super Juniors. He said that all of his matches will be title matches, which is very interesting. I'm wondering if that's going to legit be every match he has in the Best of the Super Juniors is going to be a title match, which then has to make you wonder, is he going to lose that in the tournament? Because that would be a first, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing him in the G1. He was doing a lot of the Young Lion matches.
Yeah. He's technically a junior, so he wasn't actually in the G1, but yeah. Next is the match you were looking forward to the most.
Man, I was really looking forward to this one. Of course, we're talking about Kenta versus Tanahashi for the IWGP United States Championship. Of course, if you've listened to the show, you know that Kenta is probably my favorite wrestler in New Japan. This match was okay. So there were spots in the match where I felt like it was moving too slow. But there were some really great spots also. It was overall, it was a really great match. Loved, like, toward the beginning, I loved the little air guitar exchange they had. And there were some times when, he had the table ready and he was going to put Tanahashi through it, and it was just like, it just kept like teasing you with that, and then Kenta himself ends up getting put through it.
Yeah.
Just really, really great match. I wasn't surprised nearly at all that he won it with a go to sleep.
Yeah. I was a little surprised that Kenta won this because I thought they were going to keep the U.S. title on Tanahashi so that we could get that Tanahashi-Moxley match. But I also wonder if, because of the news of Jon Moxley this week, they decided to go ahead and make the switch. I don't know for a fact, but
I don't think it would not have lessened my opinion of him any if he lost. But I was really it brought a little bit of joy to my heart that Kenta got a title.
Did he win it? Is he the one that?
Not since I've started watching.
I'm trying to remember if he's the one who took it off of Moxley. No, Lance Archer took it off of Moxley. That's who it was. He just wrestled Moxley for it. So, okay, Kenta all last year had the U.S. Championship briefcase. So he had the option of wrestling Moxley, but because of the pandemic, he couldn't actually go over. And so that's why he just basically defended the briefcase all last year.
Yeah.
And those matches were really good. A Kenta match is... So he's a member of Bullet Club, and Bullet Club cheats a lot in all of their matches. Kenta, fortunately, has not been stuck with the interference angle of Bullet Club. That's more like evil in the House of Torture over there.
Yeah.
This match was, it started slow because, Kenta does the thing where he gets out of the ring and just like
Yeah.
kind of teases the rest, who he's fighting. And
Yeah.
they always take a while to get going, but I'm always interested in what he's doing. He's always doing fun things.
Yeah. I just like to watch him. So the only other title that Kenta has had in New Japan is back in 2019. He had the never open weight belt.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I remember that.
But he lost that just a few months later to Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was trying to remember that time period. Yeah. That made sense at the time to put him in that like stiffer, never open weight scene. Yeah. That's right.
But as far as as far as New Japan, that's the only other belt he's had. He held several championships in Noah.
Oh yeah.
But nothing in like WWE or anything like that. But it was a great match. I enjoyed it. I'll enjoy watching Kenta. I enjoy his promos, which I did watch later, and that was great. He called out CM Punk.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I would love to see that.
I hope that happens. I think that match would be great.
I'm telling you now, if that match comes to the States, I will put a loan out on my house to go to that show, man. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Love it.
I wonder if it would be one of those ones that happens in LA.
Yeah.
Or if they would do it on Dynamite. I don't know. They got an interesting relationship. I'd be curious.
Man, could you imagine that at All Out next year?
Whoa.
Oh,
that would require him keeping it for a whole year, but
that's true. It's true.
But that, oh man, I hope that match actually happens. I think that would be
great. All right. So what match came up after this?
This would be Tama Tonga versus Kazuchika Okada.
Oh yeah, that was another good match.
That was for the right to face Shingo at the Wrestle Kingdom.
Tama Tonga is another one of those wrestlers that I didn't have any clue who he was until the G1, but throughout the G1, he really grew on me and became one of my. This was one of the wrestlers that I would watch. I like him.
Yeah, they did the smart thing by like starting the match fast because the Kenta and Tanahashi match was kind of a slower paced match. They brought in the energy with this one, so that was a smart decision on their part.
Yeah, that was a good one. This is the other match that I watched at regular speed because it was Okada. So that was a fun match to watch, as are pretty much any Okada matches, really. But seeing him and Tama Tonga go at it again, they had a match at G1, of course, and Tama Tonga won. So it was good to kind of see that Okada get his second chance at this fight, and of course Okada won, took him out with a Rainmaker. Those last I want to say 2 minutes of the match, were just kind of nail biters. He's got him. He's gonna win again. No, and wait, no. It was so much back and forth, and maybe it was that last minute because it just had me on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen?
An Okada match it's built a specific way. Usually, this one started fast. Usually, an Okada match kind of, they start quick, and then they take a dip, and then they go down. They kind of like crest in like waves,
so they can get a second win. Kind of, yeah.
They're usually longer matches, but then by the last 5 minutes of an Okada match is usually like breakneck speed, fast stuff the whole time. Just close pinfalls, like just really good stuff.
Yeah, there were just a lot of near finishing moves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah, a lot of counters
yeah,
and kick outs, and
yeah. It was a good match. It was fun to watch. Breathtaking, if you want to put it that way. But then they had the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo Takagi for the championship belt.
Yep, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. This match has happened because Zack Sabre Jr. pinned Shingo during the G1 tournament.
That's right. And this brought up the conversation we had earlier today that I am in the minority of people that apparently like the current heavyweight championship belt. I just like it. I think it looks cool. Dave said it looked too much like the Divas belt, but I was just like, I don't know, man. I like it.
I've always compared it to Sinistar, the arcade game, with the pointed kind of wings on it.
Yeah.
So it looks the way it does because it's an homage to past versions of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So there is like a version that has like these kind of points on the top. It looks like a crown almost.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're referencing.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I just like it. I don't know.
So my problem with it is I think that the IWGP Heavyweight Championship was one of the most beautiful belts ever made. And it looks like a world championship. And it reminds me of the old WCW big gold belt, and AEW's current belt has similar aspects to that one.
I can understand that. Yeah, I don't know. I just like the current one. Not to say I don't like the older one.
Yeah.
But I just like it. But okay, so what were your thoughts on the match itself?
Match of the week for me. I think this was this it's so funny. I said on here before that Zack Sabre Jr. was never one of my favorite wrestlers before, but over the last 2 years, I've become a fan of his work. Mm-hmm. He has a very technical style of wrestling that maybe in the past, the things that I didn't like about it was I just didn't get it, or maybe I just didn't like see how some of those moves are supposed to be believable in the sense that like that looks like that's painful. Either he has changed his style to make his moves look tighter and like cinch them in maybe so they just look a little bit more extreme, or maybe I've just become more accustomed to it and just kind of like actually like it now. Whatever that is, I love his matches lately. Like his match with Naito during the first night of the G1 was also one of my favorite matches of the whole year. This match I thought it was excellent. It showed a technical side of Shingo that we haven't really seen much of.
Mm-hmm.
He has two modes. He has the just like hit them really hard mode, and then the hit them very fast mode. Like he's a very quick wrestler, and his strikes always look real good. And he fit in perfectly with the never openweight championship scene, and I was surprised to see him actually win the World Heavyweight Championship this year. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I'm very happy to see him with that title because it does create something new in the world title, scene in New Japan.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a really good match. I enjoyed it. I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. Does some things that are pretty interesting. He's mostly a submission style wrestler. Mm-hmm. I like to see what he does. But at the same time, I personally enjoyed the Okada match more. As far as this match goes, I was actually more interested in the fallout of this match. Where Okada came out and basically insinuated that he's the real champion because he's the G1 champion, and he's carrying that belt, and they come out there and have some back and forth that I didn't understand, because during the event itself, it was all in Japanese, of course.
Right.
And I didn't find out exactly what they were saying until I watched the backstage commentary later on. But yeah, basically he was just saying, they were going back and forth about the idea that I'm champion because I won the G1. You shouldn't be the champion because you lost the G1.
Yeah.
And then Shingo, basically countering with, you're the G1 champion. That's good. I loved when he told Okada, he basically told him that belt was a toy. His actual quote was, "Are you still carrying that toy around?" But he recognized, you're the G1 champion, but I'm the one with this belt.
Yeah.
So
it kind of ignores the fact that Okada has been the champion before during G1s and lost matches and not won the G1. So like, it's kind of just this little like, okay, Okada, you're being a little bit hypocritical. You've not, you've lost G1 matches too.
So essentially what this did was officially set up the main event for Wrestle Kingdom.
Probably night one. It'll probably be the main event.
It's going to be, he said it's going to be on January 4th.
Yeah, it's night one.
The main event. I've never watched a Wrestle Kingdom, or all of a Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
I've watched matches here and there. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been thinking about this today. I've been pondering the idea of actually taking those 3 days off work, just so I can sit and watch.
I did
all of that.
I did that 2 years ago, maybe even last year too. I may have done it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Because I watched. That's what it was. Maybe I just took the first night off.
We should have a watch party.
What day of the week is it this year?
Let's find out.
4th and 5th.
The 4th is a. Oops.
That's a Tuesday.
Okay, yeah. The 4th is a Tuesday. So a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday?
No. So the third night, it's weird. So the 4th and 5th will be in the Dome. Okay. And then on the 8th, they're going to be in another building somewhere else.
Okay.
It's called a Wrestle Kingdom show.
But it's not in the Dome? That doesn't make any sense at all. Because isn't it literally the Tokyo Dome show?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, they've always called them the Dome shows. They have not always called them Wrestle Kingdom. So there's always been Dome shows on the 4th and 5th or 4th. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
That's weird. Why would a Wrestle Kingdom show not be in the Dome?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that another time, I guess. But
once we figure out what that card is, I guess. But
yeah. But that'd be cool. That'd be cool to do a watch party.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the logistics on that. We'll check in on that a little bit closer to the event.
Yeah.
I wanted to say too, after the match, Okada went backstage and spoke to more interviewers back there.
He did.
And challenged Buddy Matthews, the former Buddy Murphy.
Yep.
To a match at Battle in the Valley.
Yep, and that's coming up.
I think it's next Saturday.
I think it's coming up pretty soon.
So
November 13th.
I think the reason for that match is even happening is so that Will Ospreay can then show up at that show and challenge Okada to whoever wins night one of the Dome.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's still walking around with his title saying he's the champion too, because he never lost.
That's true. So that card has been announced.
Valley, Wrestle in the Valley.
Yeah.
Battle in the Valley.
So that'll be in San Jose, California on Saturday the 13th.
I think Full Gear is that weekend too.
I know that's going to be rough. I believe those are on the same night.
It's Full Gear Saturday or Sunday this year?
That's a good question. Let me consult the interwebs.
It is Saturday. They are the same
Yeah,
night.
it's Saturday. Yeah, I'll probably be watching Full Gear on Saturday, and we'll watch Battle in the Valley the next day. There's only a couple of matches that I really, really want to see. I don't know, man. Some of these are like, so you got Yuya Amara versus Josh Alexander. Okay. Violence Unlimited versus Stray Dog Army. Okay. Yeah. Team Filthy versus Alex Zane, Alex Coughlin, Rocky Romero, David Finley, and Fred Rosser, who, we mentioned this last week because I mentioned that he is the former Darren Young.
Yeah.
I actually want to see that because I want to see Rocky Romero and I want to see Fred Rosser. Speaking of Rocky Romero, he's got a match with, isn't it Danielson coming up?
It's on Dynamite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Bryan Danielson.
That's interesting.
And then the next match is United Empire, which is Jeff Cobb and TJP versus Clark Connors and Carl Fredericks. Then you got Narita and Will Ospreay, Juice Robinson versus Moose, Okada versus Buddy Matthews, and then the Never Openweight Championship match, Ishii versus Jay White.
Yeah. So there's a couple good matches.
Yeah, there's some good ones, but I can wait till Sunday.
Yeah.
I'll just have to stay off social media.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to be. Those are just matches I don't want to be spoiled on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got some good. The last month or two is going to make some interesting because we got the best of the Super Juniors coming. We got this one coming. Got Full Gear coming. Got some really good matches coming. Got my live participation at Dynamite and Rampage coming in December. There in Dallas, but it's going to be good. I think next year is going to be a good year for wrestling too.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we have our last thing we have to close out the show is our top 5 entrance themes.
Yeah.
So we just came up with this one today at
Yeah.
Dave's suggestion.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I don't know if I could come up with 5. And then I thought about it and I'm like, actually, I think I could.
Yeah.
And I did. I came up with 5 really quickly and gonna warn you again, just like a lot of these lists, it's very AEW heavy. But my list is not all AEW. It's just very AEW heavy.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get that started.
Okay.
And why don't you start us off today?
All right. I'll start off with my number 5 pick. So I'm going to go with Malachi Black's current theme.
Okay.
Performed by the band Amun Ra. They're kind of like an experimental black metal band, I believe. Not super familiar with their material. I mean, I know who they are, but I've not really listened to much of their stuff. I chose this one as number 5, not necessarily because I think it's necessarily my favorite song, one of my favorite songs, but I just love how it works in conjunction with his entrance. Like that is the main thing that I like about it. Because I preferred his Aleister Black theme in WWE and NXT. I like how that song was better. I like this entrance way more than his NXT entrance.
So most of the ones on my list are not, I really like this song.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just, I like how they fit.
Yeah.
My number 5 is, okay, I'm going to also give you another heads up here. I don't know the names of any of these songs.
No, I don't either.
Except maybe one. I
know 2.
But my number 5 is my one non-AEW on my list. And it is the entrance theme for Kota Ibushi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So whatever that is, it's really cool. I just like the way it sounds. I like I just like the way it sounds in that arena.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these songs, it's like you take it out of the arena, it's just like, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's my number 5.
All right. Well, my number 4, I will go with Satoshi Kojima's theme. And so he wrestles in New Japan. He's the one who fought Moxley. It is an older theme. I think he's had it since like the mid 2000s. It's got like this synthesizer keyboard sort of intro to it, and then like a theremin sort of like high sound that's in there.
Okay.
It feels like a 70s prog rock song. It's like how it feels to me. Okay. It's just, it fits really well with him. He's been coming out to it forever, and yeah, I love his work too, and just that song works magic for me. So
cool. So my number 4, again, the song itself it's okay as a song in and of itself. It's actually one of these that I have listened to outside of watching wrestling, and it's okay. It's like, we're both big fans of punk rock and punk rock adjacent type music, but this is not.
Yeah.
So it's okay. The reason this is on my list is because I love the crowd reaction to it, and how it engages the crowd. And I have seen this both live and on TV, and that is the Chris Jericho theme, Judas.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It really gets the crowd excited.
Yeah, it's just a fun. It's been a really fun sing-along song that the crowd has been doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, it's going on a little long. You don't have to sing the whole song. But...
yeah, really. So that's my number 4.
It's definitely the best Fozzy song I've ever heard. So.
Yeah, that's probably the only one that doesn't suck.
All right. My next pick is going to be Katsuyori Shibata's entrance theme. I'm counting it, even though he's technically not an active wrestler, because we just heard it. When he came back for his exhibition match. So
that counts. It counts.
He still comes out to it. He's still alive. He still shows up.
Yeah.
It's speaking of like punk music, this one has a punk edge to it. It's a fast-paced song that kind of like changes tempos a couple times, switches into this like palm muted thing. You don't look at that guy and go, that's a guy who likes punk rock, but like there's something about it that just, it works so well with him. Especially if you go back and watch any of his old matches where he entered with it. And it's always had, anytime I hear it now, it's an automatic just, because usually it's a surprise whenever we hear it now. So
my number 3 is Bobby Fish.
Yeah.
I just like the way that it fits him.
It's the old Red Dragon theme
from
Ring of Honor, and
it fits him really well.
Yeah, it fits him better than Kyle O'Reilly, I think. But yeah.
I just like it.
Very misfitsy sort of fun song.
Yeah.
My number 4, I'll go with CM Punk. Yeah, I've done 3 already. You're gonna do 4 next.
Are you going backwards, or you?
I
started with 5.
It's number 2. It's the 4th one I'm naming.
So okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah, number mine 2. Are in descending order or ascending order of favorite. Yeah.
CM Punk's Cult of Personality. Definitely has the benefit of being an existing song. I didn't know quite how to treat this one just because it was like, it's a song before Punk ever used it. He still uses it. It's his actual iconic theme. He had another theme before, but I don't remember that one. And it's a theme that every time I hear it, when he comes out to it, and I hear it, I then want to go finish the song because he usually doesn't play all the way through. But
this may surprise you. His theme actually did not make my list.
Yeah.
Not because I think it's a bad theme or that I don't like the reaction that it gets, because the reaction that it does get as soon as it starts, like, drives people nuts.
Yeah.
And that's great. I chose not to include it for no particular reason.
Yeah.
But my number 2 is Bryan Danielson.
Oh, the Flight of the Valkyries.
Yes, I love it. Like the Flight of the Valkyrie, and then it turns into whatever else that is that he's done. And
yeah, it's kind of like a hip hop beat.
Yeah, I just call it the American Dragon theme. So
yeah,
I like it. It fits him very well.
Yeah. You know, everybody was saying like, oh, he's come out to the final countdown when he comes back, and like, I think of that song more as a joke. So I don't know that
I don't think it fits him anymore.
Not anymore.
I think this fits him because it represents a transition.
Yeah. That'd be odd. And
All
also,
right.
didn't they say Final Countdown was too expensive to even license?
Yeah, something like that. So your number 1, I'm interested in knowing if it's the same as mine.
I don't know. I went with Minoru Suzuki's Kaze ni Nare.
It is not.
There have been multiple versions of this theme song. I do prefer the version prior to the current one, but at the same time, it's still the same song. So it's just with different instrumentation behind it. Mm-hmm. The King. This was the song that when they cut it off on Dynamite, people were furious. So, which I was one of them. I was like, you don't cut this song off before the crowd sings along. That's not right. It's a song that I don't speak Japanese. I don't know what any of the words are, but that melody and that tune will get stuck in my head anytime I hear it.
I do like that the reaction that this one gets from the crowd. Just no particular reason it didn't make my list.
Yeah.
My number 1 is probably the newest, maybe, entrance theme, and that would be Adam Cole's.
It was on my list before I thought of the Malachi Black song, but
okay.
yeah.
I love the guy who created this is a guy who does a lot of the original AEW music. Mikey something. I'm sorry, Mike. I don't remember your last name. I do apologize. But he came up with this, and it fits Adam Cole so well. And Adam Cole has made it a part of his entrance. Like, he's like transitioned his own entrance and his move set as he comes to the ring to this song. He's made it a part of his move set. You know, one of his moves is now called the Boom.
The Boom, yeah. Used to be the Last Shot. Yeah,
something. But again, love the reaction. This gets the crowd.
Yeah. It was one that, like, it got me immediately when they played it too. I was like, this is such a good theme, and I've never heard it before.
It still takes me back to the first time I heard it, and we're talking about All Out, where I didn't know who it was because I could not see the tunnel. I couldn't see the tunnel. I couldn't see people coming out. So it took me some time before I realized who it was, but I heard the music first.
Yeah.
So I heard this music and I'm like, well, this is cool. Who is that? And because remember at that time, I thought it was going to be Bryan Danielson coming out.
Yeah.
So
everyone did.
It hits and do it. And then I hear the crowd going nuts and I'm like, is it him? Is it him? And then I finally see the figure come out on the ramp and I'm like, oh my God, that's Adam Cole. Oh my gosh. Because at that time I didn't, I'd heard the rumors that, or, the news that his contract expired, but I didn't think he was going to come into AEW that quick.
Yeah.
Because we're talking like days. We're talking like days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I heard that music and I'm like, that's interesting. That's good. But then saw him and it was just like the reaction, even that first time was just so enormous. But yeah, even, these couple of months later, that interest in him still gets a great reaction.
Yeah, I'm ready for. Well, this is not really related to anything about his theme, but I'm ready for him to like kind of do some singles stuff. Like the Super Click stuff's fun, but
yeah,
I want some singles.
I would agree. I kind of want to see him do some single stuff too. And maybe this first one with Josh Silver is kind of the beginning of that. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was our top 5.
Yeah.
And next week we'll be coming back with episode number 270. Inching closer and closer to that episode number 300.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got for today. Do you have any closing remarks?
Nope. You can just follow us on all the social media as well. What's our Twitter? Is it
Around the Ring? Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I am also at JuiceFaceKilla and at PunkLottoPod.
And I am also at Otter272.
Yeah. And at Rogue One Radio.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for tuning in to another show. And we'll talk to you again next week. Have a great one.